Bantha. This is the way.
I'm right.
This resistance.
This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen. This message is a warning and a reminder for any surviving Jedi. Trust
only in the Force.
We were trained to be keepers of the peace, not soldiers. But all I've been since I was a Padawan is a soldier.
we will each be challenged. Our trust, our faith, our friendships. But we must persevere, and in time, a new hope will emerge. May the Force be with you, always.
Killers, bred for combat, no part of the plan.
No. What plan?
The plan. The only plan that matters. He is the key to everything.
To bring balance to the Force?
To destroy.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first Galactic Empire!
I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire.
Your new empire?
It was at the end of the war. Our fellow soldiers, the clones, the ones we Jedi fought side by side, suddenly turned and betrayed us. I watched them kill my master. She fought beside them for years, and they gunned her down in a second.
Only through me can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi. A powerful Sith you will become.
It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
Trust only in the Force.
Our trust, our faith, our friendships.
And we're live. Now, I think the music might be too loud. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We might have to lower the music a little bit. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? Yeah, that video was really dope. That was quite the find. Oh, Taylor's here. Look, our Emperor's here. Hello, X-Wing. Hello, Zori Bliss. Hi, Dan. Oh, there's a Dan. There's another Dan in the chat. All right. Sounds good, guys, or should I lower it a little bit more? Okay. I might take it down just a scotch. Yeah, that video was amazing, huh? All right, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, this is episode 5, and we have our Jedi with us today, so that's amazing. The folks that will eventually play all the Jedi in our story, in our trilogy. And yes, that includes Finn. So we do have our Finn here today, so I'm totally pumped for that, and we get to talk about, you know, what Finn's journey is going to look like, and speculate about, you know, all the great things that we have in store for this particular group of Jedi in our story. So I'm really excited for that. And then I'll introduce all of the panelists one by one, and I'll, you know, what characters they play, et cetera, et cetera. And then I want to talk a little bit, I interjected this topic, about the world between worlds, because as we have seen in episode 5 of Ahsoka, the Worlds Between Worlds is an actual thing now in live action. It looks so good. First of all, it looked great. The depiction of it was great. So I'll talk a little bit about that and what I know from being involved in Star Wars, in the franchise, with the story group, and what I've known for many, many, many years and being involved in the video game properties. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll go on to talk about the foundations of the Jedi, what George Lucas's, what he thought about when he invented the Jedi, and some of the connections and some of the organizational structures within the Jedi Order and how they function, all the different elements of it. So we will be getting into that. And then we'll talk about the flaws of the Jedi because, they have quite a lot. And so we'll talk a little bit about, what went wrong. And how come nobody saw that they were, headed to this path, and how come nobody foresaw anything that would happen with Anakin Skywalker. And to do that, we have our Anakin with us. So we'll get to talk about that. We'll talk about the plight of the Padawan. And to me, I've always thought that the way that the Jedi kind of recruited their initiates was almost similar to the way the Sith do it. And it's very similar to how, the Empire and the First Order would conscript stormtroopers. So very in parallel with those things. And I want to talk about all the different journeys that a Padawan has to take, and the fact that we have a lot of Jedi who absolutely will not have that experience under them. So for better or worse, right? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about rebuilding the Jedi Order and what that might look like in the future of this franchise. And what are some of the things that we're going to have to what are the first steps? And what are some of the things that we're going to have to change and make better, or at least attempt to make better, right? And that's always the struggle, right? And finally, we'll take some questions and answers. So we'll ask questions from the audience, and we will answer what we can. And some questions, maybe behind NDAs, or I just simply may not know the answers. So we'll tackle that when we get there. But without further ado, let me introduce our panelists. All right, guys. So today with me, I have our dyad. So yes, I know a lot of people have some take issue with the dyad and the Force, but believe me, we're going to make them so much better, and we're going to make them kick ass, and everything's going to be fully explained in our story, and it's all going to make sense. And by the time you're done, I'm going to make you love Rey. But we start with one of the sequel trilogy's favorite characters that even some folks who absolutely do not like the sequels actually likes this particular character. So please welcome Daniel Davenport, who is our very handsome, might I say, Ben Solo. Welcome, Dan.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, and I'm so happy that you're here and you're back with us. You've been here before, and we're happy that you're with us once again. And of course, we really can't have you without having your better half, right? Much better half. Please welcome.
Significantly, drastically.
Please welcome the talented and beautiful Madeleine Norton, who plays our Rey. Hello. So those are our leads, guys. How are you? Oh my God, welcome, and welcome back, Maddie. So,
thank you.
Yes, we are all built up on Saturday.
How's it legal? I don't get it.
Good to see you.
X-Wing is like, we're all dolled up on a Saturday. Yes, we are. All right. True. And then, of course, the one, the only, who absolutely killed it in episode 5 of Ahsoka, our Anakin Skywalker. Welcome, Tyler. No, it's not
Thanks
Hayden.
for having me back.
It's not Hayden.
Unfortunately.
But it's damn close. It's damn close. Believe me.
I tried my best.
All right. And then, of course, we have the mama bear. You know, she's everybody's mama, really. She's not just Ben Solo's mama. Oh, I'm sorry. I got my pants mixed up.
Hi, Mama.
I'm used to her having got it all mixed up. Okay.
Jason, can I have uppies?
I am made of questions right now.
There's Leia. There she is. Okay. Leah Barnett does play our Princess Leia. And sometimes I call her Leah. Sometimes I call her Leia. It switches back and forth. And then I'll reverse to introduce our wonderful, wonderful Jason Dania, who plays Finn for us. He embodies this character. He sounds exactly like him. It's uncanny. It's really crazy.
How you guys doing?
Yeah. And he is, of course, Ray's bestie. Yes.
That's my bestie.
That's the bestie.
I hear my dad laughing downstairs at the delayed reaction of what just happened.
Hi, Dad. How are you? And then, of course, we have Leia. And then next to Leia, we have the great, the wonderful, the master himself, Mr. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hello. Hello there.
And yes, he is British.
Yeah.
And Miles Poehler will be playing our Obi-Wan Kenobi. He only has a very small part in 10, but come the series and come 11 and 12, we'll see his Force Ghost around quite a bit, right alongside Anakin. And let me tell you something. The fights continue. They continue in the Force. They still don't get along. They see things very differently. And last but not least is the Grandmaster himself. Our Grandmaster Yoda, Isaac Aceret. Sup? How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good I am. All right. So we have the entire panel here today. So let me make sure I get all my stuff in there because I've already messed it up. All right. So I've already messed it up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way it is. It never goes smoothly. Ever.
Jason, your mic's still muted.
Is it?
No, I can hear him.
I can't hear him. 1 second. No, I can't hear him.
You can't hear me at all?
I can hear you.
Good on my
Can
end.
you guys hear him?
Mm-hmm.
Probably a bug on my side.
What a bunch of stars. Yes, Taylor, absolutely. Absolutely. You're included in that, Taylor.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I wanted to talk a little bit, and I'll open this conversation. I'll talk a little bit about the world between worlds. Because it was featured, and of course, I really need to lower the volume of this music a little bit. It's like deafening, I think. Maybe. But I really would like to talk a little bit about the world between worlds. As we've seen in Ahsoka's episode 5, Anakin showed up out of nowhere. Boom! We had Anakin Skywalker. It was amazing. I lost it in episode 4 at the end when she woke up, and Ahsoka wakes up. She wakes up in the middle of the world between worlds, and we get to see that world live. And you're just like, oh my God, it's Rebels, right? Like, for anybody that was a fan of Rebels, it's like watching your absolute favorite thing come to life. And so, that was a really big moment for me. And then when she turns around and we see Anakin, and he like smiles at her, and we hear him go, "Hey, Snips." I lost it. I gotta admit. But the world between worlds looked so good, like depicted in live action. It really did look great. And there were some immediate differences that I noticed between what we had seen in Rebels to what we were seeing in live action. And for me, the most distinct difference that I saw was like the absence of the portals. So anybody that's seen Rebels, you've seen that World Between Worlds has like portals, like circular portals at the ends of each one of these roads. And that was like completely missing. And I'm like, this must be something different. And I thought back to like a lot of conversations that I've had about, about the stuff that I've done within like the video game world, and a lot of the conversations with some of the folks from Story Group and some of the game developers and the game producers, and all of those folks are all part of Lucas. We're just working side by side with them, and kind of like working to realize what pieces of the lore we were going to bring into the Jedi series. And so for me personally, that was a revelation to not see those portals. I'm like, wait a minute, where are the portals? And so I think that as I started kind of diving back into some of that lore, Anakin is special. He's not the same as anybody else. He is the chosen one. And I think that, in the same way that he was able to transcend from his corporeal form into Force Ghost form without any training, without any path to be able to do that, such as Qui-Gon had to do, or Obi-Wan had to do, or Yoda had to do. I mean, we saw Yoda's journey to attain the knowledge of how to, immortality, basically. In the Clone Wars, we saw him go through the training with the priestesses and all that good stuff. So we saw him go through that. And all of the Force Ghosts that we see have had to do that kind of same training, except for Anakin. Anakin was like immediate. And I think that in that sense, I think the Force has a will of its own, right? And when I look back at some of the things, if you guys remember in Rebels, my favorite episode, and this is no surprise to anybody, is Jedi Knight. That episode from Rebels was probably the most perfect episode ever to exist in Star Wars, period, for me. And as Kanan Jarrus was like going to like sacrifice his life for the life of the woman he loves and the family he has built, he had damaged eyesight for years at that point. And when he did that, the Force granted him this one last gift and restored his sight so that he could see Hera one last time. And it's almost like, the Force has a will of its own. So my thought process was, if that is the case, it wouldn't be such a stretch to think that the Force granted Anakin that special gift of reuniting him, right, with his family and his brother, the people that brought him up, basically. So I'm a strong believer of that. That's how Anakin was able to become that Force Ghost. And there was an interesting bit of lore in the book that's, from a certain point of view, of the first time that Anakin transcends into the cosmic force, and he's greeted by Obi-Wan Kenobi and the conversation that they had. And it was just such an interesting conversation. It was like, what are you doing here? It was almost like the same conversation that Anakin had with Ahsoka in episode 5, where, she kind of she looks at him and she's like, Anakin. And she's like, you're here a lot earlier than you're supposed to be, right? And so I feel like because Anakin's such a special, he's kind of like an offshoot, I think that maybe he has some control over this middle plane, which the World Between Worlds is essentially a tear in the fabric between the cosmic force and the living force. And it exists outside of those two planes. And I feel like that's why it's devoid of the Force. So the Force doesn't exist in there. The person that brings it there still has all those things, but the Force itself doesn't exist in this plane. So when Ahsoka turns around and she sees him, I think Anakin, because he is the chosen one, has the ability to be able to kind of exist in this plane and play between both the cosmic and the living, which is why he appears to Ahsoka as a very much flesh-embodied person and not a Force ghost, and takes her through this whole journey of reconciling her past trauma that he created in her. It was like a healing moment for both Anakin and Ahsoka, not just Ahsoka. So I feel that way. What do you guys think? Anybody that's seen that episode? Did you guys see the episode? Who saw it? I know, Maddie's like, stay over here, quiet. I gotta catch up. Oh gosh.
I haven't seen it either.
You haven't seen it either? Oh no.
I just started.
I know.
I got like 3 episodes in.
But
I'll watch it right now, Maria.
No, you don't.
You missed it
I'll
out.
log off the live stream. You actually, you know what?
I'll talk to you guys later. Gotta go watch the episode, so peace.
So sorry to spoil it for you guys, but like I told you, I would. Because I kind of wanted to.
I saw a clip on TikTok. I was like, no way. And then I realized, yeah, I'm going to spoil a little bit right now. But no, it's exciting. Ahsoka was my favorite growing up, especially growing up watching the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So
You're Clone Wars, baby. Yeah. So for a lot of people, I mean, the Clone Wars is a favorite for a lot of folks on this panel. So I know for Tyler, 100%. Right, that's your show.
Republic.
Yes, yes. I think you too, right? You're. That's one of your favorite. that's one of your favorite shows, right? Yeah, yeah. Did you enjoy Rebels, Isaac? Did you watch all of it? You did, but not as much as the Clone Wars. Yeah, yeah. What about you, Miles? Did you watch the Clone Wars or Rebels?
I've consumed most everything in regards to that era of Star Wars. It's just my absolute favorite. Clone Wars and Rebels. I think Clone Wars was more for me than Rebels, but Rebels was just a very, very close second.
Yeah. What about you, Jason?
I have not.
You have not seen any of the Clone Wars or Rebels? No. Okay. And that's totally cool.
Jason, we are marathoning it, dude.
Yes, it's going to have to be like a watch party.
Honestly, we should totally do that.
Yes, you guys should totally do that.
4, man, I'm going to be insufferable.
So what did you guys, those of you that have seen episode 5, like Tyler, you've seen it. So tell me a little bit about what your thoughts about that episode was around this phenomena that we were watching with Anakin.
Well, after I was able to compose myself.
Right, yeah, you were
I
really
screamed at the end of that episode 4.
Yeah, for sure.
And that scream went from joy to rage when the credits rolled, but But I thought it was really.
Where is he?
It was super cool. To put it in basic, it was super cool getting to see them reunite and seeing Hayden basically perfectly pull off bringing the Matt Lantern Anakin and Hayden Anakin together. He pulled it off perfectly, seamlessly, and just getting to see them kind of come back in and mend some areas, and then also bring up some other issues, like where she's like, you were more powerful and dangerous than anybody realized, and he's like, oh, so that's what this is about. And it was really cool just to kind of get to see him really a lot wiser than he was previously when we last saw him.
Yeah, for sure. And again, and what did you think was like really? Did you have like any preconceived ideas at the end of episode 4, like where you're like, because there's been so much chatter out there, right? Like, it's the sun, the sun god of Mortis, and
no,
you didn't believe anything that, right?
Nope.
So there was so much chatter going on, and again, even from before, like the chatter about Morok. Like, oh, it's Star Killer. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. It's like, come on, guys. Yeah, I know, right? Right? Yeah, for sure. But no. So, you know, what did you think about like that phenomena? What do you think, like, what was going on? What was it that we were watching? Were we watching like Anakin, like, evoke all these memories in her, or how do you think that that kind of worked?
I think the lesson he was trying to teach her, because you know she was underwater, so he was trying to teach her not only in this moment but in life overall, it's either fight or die. And even when you're fighting, you also have to know when to show restraint. And that's probably like he was probably trying to teach her that because he did not know when to show restraint. We saw it numerous times in the Clone Wars and in the movies, and so he's like kind of like, don't do what I did.
Yeah.
Learn from my mistakes.
Yeah. What do you think, Miles?
I mean, the sequence as a whole is just gorgeous. I mean, even if we just talk cinematography, it's just so gorgeous. You know, the flashing between Anakin and Vader. You know, I don't think that she was actually in the world between worlds. I don't think that's what it was. I mean, we see her fall off the cliff into water, and is there a portal to the world between worlds there? Maybe, but I don't think that's quite what it was. It was kind of like a dream sequence almost. It's a world that she's familiar with. You know, her and Ezra are the only two people really that know of this phenomenon and have actually experienced this phenomenon. So she's familiar with this world, and like you said, Maria, about the cosmic force and the will of the force. Perhaps it's a way of lessening the fact that she's about to see Anakin, giving her a familiar sort of environment that she can resonate with, and so on and so forth. But it was just fantastic. I mean, it was so cool, and getting to see Hayden fight with a lightsaber again, it's
so epic.
I mean, all the cast are great with lightsaber, but he just clicks. He's got that experience from the prequels. It's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that even, you know, some of our folks, I was talking to X-Wing about it, and he was just like, that's the piece that was like so blaringly obvious to me, was how much Hayden could just step right back into, you know, Anakin Skywalker, like without missing a beat. Just right back in it, you know, and just to see Hayden Christensen kind of get all of the flowers, right? And just getting all of that love from all of us adult prequel babies, right? Like the folks who like die hard for the prequels, you know, it's been so great to just see him get all that adoration and all that love, because he did get well-deserved.
And much overdue.
Yeah, especially because, you know, he did get quite a lot of hate during the prequels. So, you know,
it was undeserved.
It was undeserved. Yes. So, I think that's something that was always, you know, front and center for me is, and here's where it kind of goes astray for me, because Hayden was so good. I feel like it actually kind of it shined like a spotlight on how deficient Rosario was. I don't know if anybody else got that from watching it, but it was like almost like Hayden had to slow down some of his movements just to compensate for her lack of proficiency. Mm-hmm. And so like that was just blaring to me during some of those fights. But I gotta tell you, once we get into the Clone Wars, Ariana Greenblatt was fabulous. I was like, that's young Ahsoka right there. That's who we know and love. She had sass. She was, you know, Snips again. And she's the Snips we know, right? And it would have been nice, yes. I keep hearing about how it would have been nice to have had Ashley Eckstein's voice on it. But you know, I feel like that also takes away from Ariana's performance. So I wouldn't have wanted to do that. And I think that Ariana she knocked it out of the park. She was very fluid and very like, And she didn't get as much practice as Rosario has, because Rosario has embodied this character now twice, you know, in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. So I felt like that was very obvious. Like the skill differences was very obvious. I love the idea that Anakin, as the chosen one, within this plane, can move in and out of the dark side so seamlessly. He just, you know, it's like this, and it's like no effort at all for him to be able to do that. I mean, I think that's something that's probably unique to him. I don't know that anybody else in that plane would be able to do that. So here's what I think that plane is. I actually do feel Ahsoka was pulled into the world between worlds as she was falling, and she was pulled into that world by Anakin. Because what I feel like is once you have a Force ghost, and the way that they can traverse from cosmic force to living force is through the world between worlds. So they project themselves out of the cosmic force into the world between worlds, and they travel through all of the portals as they're watching to pick the moments where they can come through and then project themselves into the living force, into the living world. So I feel like all of the Force ghosts are going to be able to access this plane, and they're going to be able to utilize this plane as a way to be able to then project themselves to their living family members and friends and all that kind of stuff as guides and counselors. So, and the reason why I say I don't think it was a dream or a vision or anything like that is because we did hear Jason Syndulla, who heard the lightsabers crashing back and forth. Right? So if it was a dream state, he wouldn't have been able to hear that. Right? So I feel like that's a very clear indicator of that. And then there was the question of, well, if Jason can hear them, how comes Hera could hear them too? And I don't think that Hera could hear them at all. I think what Jason was doing was force telepathy. And force telepathy allows him to, like, you know, bring his mother's senses into his own so that she can hear through Jason. So that's kind of my explanations and my mental gymnastics that I've had to do for that. But it's also based on a lot of stuff that I've tackled with, like, the story group and people on that team. So I have a little bit more insight into that than most. And I feel like maybe that's a great way to kind of use that world going forward, right? And that Anakin is the only one that could have the dominion to, like, be able to go from light to dark. Like, that's special to Anakin, and that makes sense because he is the balance of the Force, right? So what are your guys' thoughts about it?
I think the idea is really cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea that because he has all that experience and now being in this, like, I guess sort of enlightened state of being, like, beyond corporeal form, he's in the Force now, and he is that balance. He can just kind of flip whenever he wants. The idea of being in that world between worlds and it giving someone who is a Force ghost that ability to have a more, like, a material form. You weren't wrong when you said it's mental gymnastics. Because were you saying, like, your idea is that, like, the Force doesn't exist there, right?
Yeah. So my idea is that the Force, you have the cosmic Force and you have the living Force, and the world between worlds sits in the middle. And so for a Force ghost to travel to the living world, they have to go through the world between worlds.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So that's kind of like the mental
on their way
gymnastics.
through, it's like
That's why it's called between, Daniel. God.
You got to teach your grandson.
I know, he's still learning. Sorry, folks.
But yeah, no, I think that's a great way to really look at it, and I hope that as we see more of the show, we start to clue into a lot of more facts about what we're seeing, because they here's the thing. I feel like because this show is almost like a Rebel season 5, there's a very small audience that this show is going to appeal to. And because very small, because you literally are going to be missing half of the stuff if you've never watched Rebels. Yes.
Did I watch Rebels before I finish the rest of Ahsoka then?
No. I mean, no. It would have. You know what? You can hook up with Daniel and hook up with Jason and have like the marathon. Your marathon watch parties.
Yeah, we'll do it in a week. We'll just blast through all of Clone Wars, all of Rebels.
Do it.
If you need a Clone Wars historian, you just let me know.
Or Isaac, for that matter. He's the same way. Yes. But I think there's going to be a lot more. I just wish that they would explain things more rather than leaving it to fans to kind of speculate and that kind of stuff. Because I just feel like, because if you haven't seen Rebels and if you haven't seen, like, a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense to just
it reminds me of the Marvel conundrum when I told you last about how I think it's maybe like a Disney thing. It's like kind of, there's a balance between how much fans, are knowledgeable of, or like newcomers being able to bring them in and have them enjoy Star Wars and whatnot. There's like a whole balance.
Yeah. And I feel like in order to attract new fans to this franchise, you can't just leave it so mysterious anymore. It's not like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. Those franchises have very specific books that are complete sets of everything that's going on in that world. You know what I mean? And like Star Wars cannot be boiled down to like 8 or 10 books. There's thousands of content, literally, to fill this world, and it's like impossible to really even break into it. So like, I feel like we need to have what's familiar, and what this show, and what I think all of the shows in this timeline, right? So Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, Obi-Wan, that's a different timeline. But Ahsoka and I'm sure Skeleton Crew at this point. All of these shows that are gonna exist in this Mando universe or in this timeline. The big thing that all of these shows are missing for me is Leia. It's Luke. It's Han Solo, right? Like, they were so prominent. If you've read any of the books, if you've read any of the expanded universe or anything like that, they were such a prominent part of the galaxy after the events of Return of the Jedi. I mean, Leia went on to like almost become chancellor. I mean, she almost became the first senator. So she, she had an extensive, long career. And she did so many things during this timeline that I feel like if they would just have the balls, I'm going to be honest, here we go, the balls to recast the original characters with younger versions of those characters and bring them into this world, it would be the connective tissue for even fans that are casual fans, that maybe all they've seen is the movies, right? Because those are the characters they recognize. So for me, like, none of these shows ever make it to like a 10 for me, because it's like, that's the piece that takes me out. It's like, wait a minute, but Leia was doing this, and this. And Han Solo was General Solo, and he was like doing this, and this, and that. So, it's like, without those characters, it's almost like not. And they were all part of Rebels, and they were all part of the Clone Wars. So I think that's what made those shows and those animated shows so good for me, is because they did include all of those original characters. But yeah, that's the piece that takes me out.
I agree.
All right, so I'm going to move on. Let's talk about our first real topic. George Lucas based the Jedi faith on real-world religious orders. And like our own religions, the Jedi had different sects within their order. Guardians, consulars, sentinels, outcasts, and way seekers, to name some of the most recognizable. let's explore these sects and how they differ from one another. Okay, and this one we're going to have some fun with. All right, so those of you that had gotten the show notes, all right, you know what's coming, right? All right, so there are 3 recognizable sects within the Jedi Order. There are the Sentinels, the Guardians, and the Consulars, okay? And each one of them had very specific, like, traits associated to them. And, you know, I think that the Jedi Order was very organized in that way and very linear. I mean, it's just like you do this, you do this, you do that. And we'll talk about it in the Padawan section, that topic where we saw, like, you know, from initiate to youngling to Padawan to, you know, like they had a very structured upbringing from very, very young, right? So it was very structured. Now there are 2 sects that exist outside of the Jedi Order, and that's the Outcast. So anybody like Barriss Offee, right, who was excommunicated from the Jedi Order, would be considered an outcast. Dooku also. And then they had also what's called Wayseekers. And Wayseekers are like Ahsoka. They were people who were part of the Jedi Order, but then chose to distance themselves or disassociate from the Order's main principles and structure. So that's kind of like the 5 major branches of different things. So I'm going to open it up to all of you guys and tell me, what sects would you guys associate yourselves with, and what lightsaber colors and kyber crystals might you wield? So we'll start with Mr. Daniel Davenport.
Oh, even before Ahsoka debuted with hers, I've always been the silver white lightsaber has always been my favorite. Really? I know I'm Ben Solo. You'd think I'd say red. My favorite color is red too, but there's something about the white. I don't know what it is.
You like the white crystal?
I do. I don't know. It's just it's like it's just like pure, and it feels like calm and like in control. Yeah. It's nice.
I feel.
So I'd probably go with that.
I feel like if Qui-Gon Jinn would have taken that step to like exit from the Jedi Order, he would have probably gone that route and become a Wayseeker, because Wayseekers are usually the ones that purify crystals. They specifically seek out blood crystals to heal them and purify them. And it's like a symbolism for them, you know? So I feel like Qui-Gon Jinn would have been that. You know, they are, they're very pure of heart. And they're definitely lightsiders. I mean, I don't think Wayseekers ever, I don't think I've ever seen a Wayseeker that's like a dark Jedi. Those are usually the outcasts. But yeah. And Maddie, what about you?
You stole my answer. Nah, I was the same way where
it's the dyad mind link.
We just like all the same stuff. It makes us such a good pair. No, I'm always again with like the Clone Wars, and I know Jason. Yeah, a good trio. Yeah, no, I again, like Ahsoka was such a favorite of mine growing up. I thought like the lightsabers looked really cool. And then when I was going down the list too, I was like, which one would apply to me personally? And Wayseekers not only doesn't have a cool sounding name, I just like the whole idea of it. And,
of the purity, yeah.
Yeah, and just the idea of even purifying the dark crystals. Yeah. I think it's what also makes Anakin's character, or the characters that are kind of more in between and morally gray, really interesting to me. Mm-hmm. Just the fact that like there is like the human condition kind of ingrained into Star Wars, where people can have this balance between light and dark. So I think that kind of stuff is really cool. That's why I like it.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, I mean, listen, my top 3 characters of all time in Star Wars, in order, are Anakin Skywalker, no pressure, Tyler, Ben Solo, and Darth Revan. You can't get more like, you know, teeter-totter than those 3, right? So I hear you, Maddie. We like the bad boys. What can I say? I mean, honestly, my little teenage heart was beating out of my chest when I saw Hayden Christensen. I was like, "Oh, I feel like I'm 20 years old again." So, for sure. All right, Tyler, you are up next, mister.
Man, I already know. Mine would definitely be a Sentinel. I just love anytime I picture myself with a lightsaber, it's always 100% of the time yellow. Like I don't know why. I just love it. It looks good. Looks good on me.
Yes.
And
you make it look good, Tyler.
I just like Sentinel. It sounds like strong, like the kind of guy that just hold the line.
I was gonna say the guy that holds it down.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, some of the obviously you have one sitting to your side over here that wields a yellow lightsaber, and of course Ben Solo will also join his dyad in our story. So they will both wield yellow lightsabers in these stories, but. A lot of people didn't know that Asajj Ventress is also a yellow wielding lightsaber crystal before she bled hers. Luke Skywalker famously had a yellow lightsaber for a little while. And of course the incomparable Bastilla Shan from Knights of the Old Republic. So and one thing the thing that they have all in common is they're scholars. They're seekers of knowledge. And, they can adapt quickly, they can learn quickly, and they're certainly more for the people. They're very selfless. And they're just really, immediately able to pick up things, So I find, Rey is perfect in that sense, and a lot of people give her some gruff about how quickly she adapts to things, which, I get it.
You want to talk? Have you seen Sabine?
Sabine, right?
How has Sabine not gotten the hate that Rey did? Sabine is why she's good at everything. It's crazy.
She's a Mandalorian. We'll forgive her.
We'll forgive her for her Mandalorian roots, right? Yep. All right, and then Jason, what about you, mister?
I already know what I'm gonna be, and it's green because I like to look at myself as a very helpful guy. I'm very about others. I'm always trying to look out for other people, and green is also my favorite color. So
there you go. That's perfect. And I really do think that that's what Finn's gonna end up with. So
yeah,
he is, and it's perfect description for him because it's harmonious, helpful, cooperative, spiritual, goodwill. That's Finn in a nutshell for me. Yep. So I agree, and you'll share, of course, with Master Yoda, who has a green lightsaber, and I think also Qui-Gon Jinn, Yaddle, Luke Skywalker ended up with his being green, and Ezra Bridger. So you're in good company with that. And Leah, what about you?
Oh God. Well, personally, I'm going to go with purple. I just the description. I love the balance of light and dark, and that's how I feel I am. Just a little good, a little bad,
Yeah.
Well-rounded.
Yeah, I can see that about you. And you know what? That's my favorite color. So that's
great.
That's me, 100%. I'm a purple saber person, so 100%.
Just a hint of blue in there too, maybe.
Yep.
Just a hint.
I still love that whole segment with him. What was it?
Mace Windu?
Samuel talking to where he's talking to George Lucas, just being like, "What kind of? Can I have a purple one?" Or what did he say?
I know he was like, and George is just like, "Yeah, you can have a purple.
Why not?"
no purple lightsabers.
They're blue or green, and the bad guys are red.
And Carrie Fisher in her memoir told George Lucas, she's mentioned she wanted a purple lightsaber, but they did not honor her wishes.
No, they did not.
There.
No, they didn't. No, I figured she would have a blue like her father.
Oh yeah,
right.
She's blue.
Yeah, and purple. It's not just Mace Windu. Anybody that's been privy to the the expanded universe knows that Jaina Solo has a purple lightsaber, and of course, the almighty Revan, who, by the way, has 2 lightsabers. One is red and one is purple. Woo!
Lucky.
I know, right? He gets all the good stuff. That's Darth Revan for you. All right, and then Miles, what about you?
Oh, I'm going to be really exciting, and I just got to go with blue. It's got to be blue.
That makes sense. You match your character.
I mean, I've got to. It's just the whole, just so many sort of poignant characters. Obi-Wan, Anakin, Kanan, Cal Kestis, just so many blue lightsabers, and it's just it's my favorite color anyway. So
Quinlan, yes.
Quinlan's gotta be. Blue is just, when I think Jedi, I think like igniting a blue lightsaber. I think Luke on Tatooine with his father's lightsaber. It's blue. It's blue. It's always been blue.
Yep. And I mean, it's righteousness, it's bravery. I mean, I don't know anybody who's more by the book than Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like that was probably one of the reasons why Anakin, bucked so much, because Obi-Wan was so, no, it's got to be this way, right? But yeah, and there's so many different shades of the blue too, tons of them. More than any other color, like as far as shades of them, blue for sure. And for anybody that questions what Cal Kestis's lightsaber color is in canon, it's blue. Trust me.
You mean he doesn't change it on the fly? What?
I changed it to yellow. Fight me.
It just looks good on me.
It might be because he's
fantastic. It's the best. It's the best color in my opinion. It's fantastic.
Oh my gosh! Not Trump. Not Trump.
And what about you, Isaac? What is your favorite color and why? Yes, I agree.
See, we're pod brothers. I told you.
Yep, right here, right? yep.
It's like that.
It's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think someone I didn't mention was Jocasta Nu. I mean, librarian. Jocasta Nu, yellow lightsaber.
Oh, she's so badass.
I love her. Yeah, I love her so much.
She's the stereotypical old ninja lady that you don't expect.
I know. She had a blue one in Clone Wars, yes.
Good, yeah.
But in Legends, in novels and stuff like that, you read that she actually. I don't know if Luke's crystal. His yellow crystal, I might be mistaken, but I think I might need to be corrected. I'm not 100%. I'm like 10% sure of it. I think that Luke's yellow light crystal in Expanded Universe was originally Jocasta Nu's crystal. I think. I'd have to read about. I don't think it's in any of the shows or anything like that because those are all canon basically. But yeah, I think so. But and then there's different shades of that yellow too is pretty cool too as well. And with the way seekers, like with the white ones, I mean, I did a little research about it because I'm not really deep into like the High Republic yet. Like my husband and I have read like 2 of the books there, but I think some of the young adult novels have a couple of characters that are going to be using the white lightsabers. Lightsaber crystal, which is kind of cool. And I mean, orange is cool, but it's supposed to be that you're trapped between Jedi and Sith. That is like reserved really for like the dark Jedi and the outcasts. And it's kind of like where you're like, I want to say, his was red, but Taron Malicos, I can't say his name. Taron Malicos. But obviously we're seeing it now in Balin's skull, right? Like his lightsaber is orange, as well as Shing Hati, right? So I like the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian saber is really cool. So how about all of you guys in the chat? What is your favorite lightsaber color? Throw it down in the chat. Let's hear it. Come on, Sharon.
She already did.
She did? Oh
yes, she did. And she's sticking with her roots.
Just waiting for the chat, Maria, just to validate your Jocasta Nu story. I don't know for certain if it was her crystal, but I know that while Luke was expanding the Jedi Order, he comes across her old hideout and finds a cache of all her things. So
yeah,
it may very well be.
Oh, so she made it out.
Yeah. I don't know if she's still alive, but yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, she made it out, though. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, she made it out of Order 66? Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that part.
Out of that part, yes, for sure.
Yeah, she made it out of the nightmare.
Lucy C says purple. She's with us. So, Leah, you know, she's with us. Lucy, you're with us.
Where's the white? Come on.
Yeah, Lucy.
Where's the white? Where's the silver? What's going
More
on with Sharon?
Any greens out there?
Thank you, Tom. Yes, Tom.
Yeah,
Sharon's embracing. She's betraying you. Yes, she's betraying it. That's right.
You want to go to Vegas with people who are purple?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
Tom is with us.
Sentinels didn't want you guys anyway.
And you want your drunk driver to be a white wielding saber.
That's true.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes, for sure. 100%.
Lucy C is, if it's the right account, that's my girlfriend. So I'll be having words with her when I go down.
Thank you, Lucy.
Hey,
and our moderator Tom is purple too, so
Yes,
that
he
counts
is.
for a lot.
That does.
Respect, Tom.
Respect, Tom. You are on Team Maria and Team Leah.
Isaac, me and you stand alone.
Has there ever been like a pink?
myself.
I saw in the shades for the corrupted dark side that there was a pink option. Have there been any that look kind of like pink?
Not in canon, but I do believe like the expanded universe had all those colors and so many of them. It's crazy how many colors.
Cool.
The expanded universe. The expanded universe. Yep, you do with your green. Yep, you do. But you are in good company because Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's fun. I love to hear it. Let's go ahead and talk about a Jedi initiate. A Jedi initiate. As they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. The Jedi were known to be keepers of the peace during the events of the prequels, but failed at every turn to do just that. Their actions paved the way for the violence that would culminate in Order 66, which saw the near extinction of the entire Jedi Order. But even before that, the Jedi had many notable flaws that chipped away at the fabric of the good intentions that the Jedi had been founded on.
I will guide you.
You will. And we're back.
I will.
So the flaws of the Jedi. Oh boy.
Where to begin?
I don't know. I'm going to begin with Anakin Skywalker. That's where I'm going to begin. So Tyler, you're up. Tyler, you're up.
I got to do something. I'll be back.
Oh, there we go. Every time. So the first question is for you. What do you think was the starting point of Anakin's turn to the dark side, besides the obvious fear of losing his wife? It more than likely started way before that moment, right?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, from day one, he was already like immediately labeled and treated as what they could have said he's, because he's the chosen one, like he's special, but no, they're like, he's different. They treated him like he's different. He's not like us. And I feel like if they would have just treated it the other way, things would have been a lot different. But no, they treated him like he's the chosen one, but they were treating him like a ticking time bomb, which I think inadvertently turned him into a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Like if they would have just treated him like the chosen one that he was supposed to be, I think things would have been a lot different. But he saw himself, he's like, if I'm supposed to be the chosen one, why am I getting treated like, the new kid on the block over here?
He was treated as a curse instead of a blessing.
Yes.
Exactly. That is perfect right there. He was treated as a burden instead of a blessing. Now, yeah.
That's really perfect.
So,
yeah. And could you define like one single moment for him that you could say was like definitive?
Where to begin? There's a lot of them. I think the first one that popped in my head when you said that was, you are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What?
Put me on this council and not make me a master.
Exactly, right. I think
it's insulting.
I think for me, it was just when he realized that his mother wasn't going to come with him.
That's a good one.
I'm taking you way back. When he realized that he would have to leave his mom. The attachment was already formed, and I think that was where the door was cracked open for him to fall to that. Yeah, actually, that's really true, Jason. So, talk a little bit about that. What do you think?
Honestly, it's like, what's the point of having a place in the council if you're not able to actually contribute,
Yeah.
So it's like, why put me here if you're just gonna have me just sit here and just be basically dead weight?
Yeah. I think so too. What?
Is that what was happening though? Like, did they like not let him like say anything during council meetings and stuff like that?
That's correct. Because he wasn't granted the rank of master.
So not being master just means you can't speak.
You can't. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be included.
Put him on the council. That'll shut him up.
You're a lump on the log. Is what you are.
Just happy to be included.
Yeah, you're a lump on the log.
In my mind, I would think being on the council meant he could speak, but just not being a master was like, screw you.
No.
He was already at a disadvantage because Windu, like the reason he had a purple lightsaber that I heard was because he wanted to be the chosen one because he was powerful.
Windu was just jealous.
He balanced dark and light. And my favorite moment to point out is in the 2003 animated series when I think it was Saesee Tiin who was like, in this time of war, why do we still hold back the chosen one? And Mace Windu was like, whether or not he is the chosen one is yet to be determined. And I'm salty.
Yes.
That's what I've always heard. Mace Windu is like, he believed he was the chosen one. So this kid comes strolling in, he's like, nope.
Not on my watch.
No, sir.
Watch. Yeah. And Dan, for you,
but don't you think you can also like? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
But like Anakin did not have a father, right? Like he was like almost the second coming of Christ, if you will, born of a virgin mother.
He's a second.
Like, did he not have daddy issues his entire life? Isn't that when it started?
Daddy issues.
Yeah, no daddy to have issues with, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
No, but like he didn't have a father. He kept looking for a father figure. Like the poor kid.
They found it in Obi-Wan.
I was gonna say, I feel like Qui-Gon was that at first.
Yeah, Qui-Gon. Yeah,
and Obi-Wan was like a brother.
Qui-Gon. Yeah.
You're a brother to me, Anakin.
No.
I love
Qui-Gon was the actual father to him. Obi-Wan became the stepdad. That's what that
totally.
was.
I think Anakin was looking to Obi-Wan as a father figure, but Obi-Wan only saw him as a brother. And that inequality, that disconnect also created a lot of opportunity for Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
So Dan, for you, if Anakin's reason for falling to the dark was Padme, what do you think was Ben's primary reason long before the perceived betrayal of his uncle Luke? Lot to unpack.
There's so much. There's so much there. One of the main things, obviously, it's his relationship with his parents, right? Him being shipped off to train with Luke to begin with immediately made him feel unloved and unwanted.
Yeah.
Even with that, like, some sort of darkness, like, inside of him, like, they felt that, and they're like, Luke, you can have him. We don't want to deal with this. This is bad. Fix him. And as a reaction to that, it's like, Mom and Dad think I'm broken. I'm not good enough for them. I'm going to go to the one person who's making me feel like I'm good enough and worth something, and that's Snoke.
Yeah.
So I see that's kind of where that led, and it started very early. It's when they shipped him off. It's when they were like, sorry, man, like we can't handle you. You're a danger, and Luke needs to put you, like, set you right.
Check you, right?
And then Luke
exactly.
Tries,
it's like I wouldn't be happy if my parents told me I was just broken. So
yeah.
And so that's up in the beginning for Ben.
For sure. And I'll go to Miles, but Obi-Wan was blindsided by Anakin's betrayal. He did not see that coming.
Can't be.
What do you think clouded his perceptions on his young Padawan? What signs did he miss?
As we've said, Anakin was a brother to Obi-Wan. So nobody, for all their faults, nobody hates a sibling or wants to see a sibling do badly, this, that, and the other. No matter how much you might disagree with him.
Yeah.
I think his major mistake was ignoring Anakin's relationship with Padme, because Obi-Wan knew what was going on. He knew that they were seeing each other.
Absolutely knew that was going on.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is that he himself was embroiled in a love story.
Yeah.
A forbidden love story too with Duchess Satine Kryze. So, so he was like the perfect person to talk to him about it,
Yeah, and I think had he opened a dialogue with Anakin, and maybe they could talk to each other about things, it would have possibly gone a bit differently. I mean, I think he didn't want to believe that Anakin was falling. I think he might have seen all these things and simply pushed it to the back of his head. He wasn't ready to believe that this young boy that he'd trained up and had become like a brother to him was slowly but surely, being seduced by the dark side, falling to the dark. I think it's such a shame. You can see the blame he places on himself in the Kenobi series, about how sort of torn up he is about it and how he eventually comes to terms with it. Spoilers if nobody's seen the Kenobi series, I do apologize. But yeah, I think the signs were there. Did he miss them? Maybe, but I think it's more likely he chose to ignore them for possibly trying to preserve the relationship they had and not trying to open up those hard conversations between the two of them. Yeah. I think had Qui-Gon been training Anakin, things would have gone differently.
Way different. Don't you think, Tyler? I mean, that...
Agreed.
Oh, 100%. Right?
100%.
Yeah. I think that was also a really big stickler, I think, in Anakin's life. It's just, he as a little boy expected to be trained by this guy he, had put all his trust into. And then he gets offloaded into, someone he didn't know.
I mean, Obi-Wan was how old was he? He was like 18, 19, maybe 20,
Yeah.
I mean, he was still a child and pretty much himself. He wasn't ready to do all that.
Yeah, but, I definitely agree with that. Yeah. And Isaac, I'm going to pick on you. He's like, wait, it's my turn? Yeah, I got you. As Grandmaster Yoda, the head honcho of the Jedi Order, what would you have done differently if you had been able to foresee Anakin's fall far in advance? Yep. Yeah. So you think he would have been definitely more hands-on? Do you think that he would have isolated him? No. Yeah, it's not really in Yoda to do that, I guess. I also think that Yoda he's so tapped into the light side that I don't think that he immediately, unless it's directly around him, he immediately can just tap into there's this dark spot over here. I don't think unless he's really looking for that Yoda can actually see it. Even as powerful as Yoda is, I think he still has that blind spot.
How many times was he in the room with Palpatine? Remind me. How many?
I mean, Well, Palpatine cast Dark Shroud. And yes, guys, we did lose Leah. She'll come back. I think her internet went down.
She got hit with a dark shroud.
She got hit with a dark shroud. Yes. So
classic case of dark shroud.
Classic.
Everyone happens.
We did, Tom. So she's I don't see her in the control room. So she probably lost internet. We'll come back to her. Yeah, I don't see her in the control room at all. So, all right. So Jason and Maddie, for the two of you, I'm gonna leave you with this question. Finn and Rey weren't around to see the old Jedi Order fall from grace, sort of speak. Do you think that gives them an unsullied view of the Jedi, and would that make them more naive? as they go forward and are tasked with this big endeavor of rebuilding the Jedi. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Sorry. I wasn't sure if Jason wanted to go first or if I should go.
First. You can go first.
Okay.
Besties first.
I think I remember seeing snippets of it when watching the sequels of the way that Rey speaks, especially towards the beginning in the first film, it's all like so magnificent and almost like a fairy book kind of to her in a way. I guess I see it like it seems distant, far away. She's not connected to it. And in that same sense, I also think about like them rebuilding and whatnot. I do think that, obviously it's necessary for people who were like involved and like went through things to like have a say in how things are rebuilt, because they experience like the ups and downs of it and they learn from the past. But I think also with this sort of unsullied view, you could think of it like they have this like sense of hope and they can bring in this new perspective that I think others might be kind of like tarnished by. Like in a sense, you can see how like Ben might have certain views on certain things, but then like Finn and Rey might. I'm being so vague right now. I started to want to tap into like what we've been doing in the film, but I was like, oh, I can't do that. So
yeah,
I'll let Jason continue with that.
Yeah, with Finn, I feel like he's more willing to just like go along with it, because anything is better than being part of the original, being just another stormtrooper to like fight against the Jedi. So it's like he doesn't really have like any connotation. He doesn't have anything like to really go off of experience wise. So he's more so just like, you know what, I'm still here. As long as I'm still able, I'll be able to do something with what I have, and like as long as I have people like Rey backing me up, I should be fine, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, do you guys think that that's something that's going to be that we're gonna have to like keep an eye out on? I mean, I don't know. I think because Ben Solo has had such a deep thing of deep amount of training. I mean, he was like, I think it was something crazy like 13 years with his uncle Luke that he spent training under him, and then the 7 years that he trained under Snoke. I mean, like, he's probably going to be like the one that you guys kind of go to and say, well, what about this? What about that? Right? So, yeah, I think so. But I think that I don't know, maybe there's something there that we just have to like think about, because they might be a little naive going into situations because they don't have that experience, right? Yeah. And
if they're not careful, history could repeat itself a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think maybe we've already seen a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see if I can get Leah back. And she probably has a new... I know.
She said her camp turned into a Force ghost.
She became a Force ghost.
Yeah.
She only has so much energy, guys. She can't spend it all in one place.
Yeah, she's force projecting. We didn't know.
Let's see.
There she is.
Yay, Leah!
There we
Sorry,
go.
Jen.
Rawr.
So I was working behind the scenes to try to figure out what happened. We got our Leia back. That's okay. We're good now.
Sorry, team.
That's all right.
Apologies.
That's
It
not
happens.
a problem. So Leia, for you, there's this question that I added into here. Is Leia put a lot of faith into the Jedi, most especially her brother, Luke. It kind of backfired for her with her son, right? Do you think she still holds the tradition of the Jedi in high regard?
I mean, yes. I think if we look at, like, I don't think she had a lot of choice in sending Ben away. I mean, her son was hearing dark voices. So her intentions were good, right? Like, so she's like, who better to teach my kid than Luke, who, come on, guys, dipped his own toes in the dark waters to teach him the way to the light, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just don't think she had a lot of choice.
Yeah.
The Jedi, drives home the important. Or sorry, I'm skipping ahead. But yeah, I don't think she necessarily regrets that decision, because at the time, and Leia lives very much in the present. She's like, okay, what do we need to do now? How can we fix this?
One step at a time, kind of thing.
Yeah, but I think she does totally now recognize that the Jedi needs some evolution. But what does that look like? Does that mean allowing for attachments? You can't love anyone? Does that mean you will lose focus with the Force? It opens up a whole giant discussion. But
absolutely,
I don't know.
Absolutely,
I don't know. I don't think she regrets it, because that's what she needed to do at that time.
And I think, like, from Ben's perspective, from his point of view, he just thought his mother was abandoning him. Like, and then there's the tension between Leia and Han, which eventually ended up with them separating, right? And that was a big part of it. So it kind of really did that whole point of he is better off with a Jedi than with you as his father, kind of reversed itself in episode 7 when she was like, because Han was so convinced. And by the way, guys, Tyler also voices Han Solo for us.
So good. He's so good.
And so, when he's in episode 7, he's like, what can I do? And Leia's like, well, you're his father. Luke's just a Jedi.
If Luke couldn't reach him, how could I?
Exactly. Right? Perfect. Look at that. Turns it on. Right? But yeah, I think like that it's something that reversed in her. Her feelings and thoughts and all that, reversed themselves in episode 7. Oh, X-Wing is back. Yay! Our Emperor. Yeah, so
a single X-Wing, we're saved.
We're saved.
What's blurf mean?
Blurf meaning he hates Han's representation in episode 7. That's what that means. But yeah, all right. So let's move on to the greatest teacher, failure. A Jedi initiate starts their journey by being ripped away from their families. A traumatic event, even for someone so young. They don't even realize or understand what is happening to them at such young ages. It's like becoming an indentured servant. What makes them so different from conscripted stormtroopers that are also taken away from their families? Yeah. They steal kids, guys. I do know you so well, X-Wing. It's really bad. I could finish your sentences, brother. But yeah, I mean, that is something that was kind of poo-poo, if you will, about the Jedi.
Poodoo.
Yes.
It's poodoo.
Poodoo. Yes. They
Poodoo.
I mean, they didn't. I wouldn't say that they kidnapped these kids in the same way that the Imperials and the First Order were doing, because the families gave the kids to the Jedi Order. Mm-hmm. But from the point of view of that child, what's the difference? You're ripped away from the home, and like the siblings and that kind of stuff. Nothing like seeps that into my mind more than the cinematic. I don't know if you guys have seen the cinematic for Star Wars: The Old Republic video game, where it's the story of Darth Malgus, and he's finding this rare artifact, and there's the Master and the Padawan, and then the Padawan has all these flashbacks to a time when she was very little, and she was with her brother and that kind of stuff. I mean, that was heartbreaking to me. I was like, oh my God, is that really how that went down?
Yeah, because she's there with like her master, and they're fighting Malgus, and she getting the flashback. He's like, yo, you see what they did to you?
Yeah.
Look what they did, girl. You're letting them do this to you? This is messed up. And she's like, yeah, good point.
Yeah. Yep. With the
That's
Twi'lek
crazy.
twins, and one wasn't force sensitive, but he was. He just wasn't as strong as the other one, right? So at the end of that cinematic, we figure out that yes, he too was a Force sensitive, but he wasn't as strong with the Force as she was, and they separated her from her whole family, and that was just crazy. That was heartbreaking to me. So that's the plight of the Padawan, right? But now we've gotten to see what that looks like, not just from like Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, right? But now we have Caleb Doom, who we kind of see his story a little bit with the Bad Batch, as a young Padawan, and then of course, I mean, my favorite, Cal Kestis, the aftermath of Order 66 through his eyes. All of these young Padawans already had attachments, bro. Like that's very clear to me, right? Yes, X-Wing. It's a very cool way of showing the folly of the Jedi and how it impacted the families. That would be a sick movie. Yes, it would be a very sick movie. Hint, hint. I feel like, these kids already formed these attachments. They form the attachments to their masters. So you're not really like, you can't forbid them from forming these attachments. It's human nature, or sentient nature in this case, because, Twi'leks. But, it's in their nature to be able to do that, right? And I think that trying to go against the grain is terrible. It's a terrible, structure. You should have embraced that. And I think one of the things, that was just really heartbreaking for me, I mean, I literally was crying tears. Who played Jedi Fallen Order? Maddie's gonna be like,
I watched quite a bit of it.
Yes.
I'm a game watcher.
Yes, you a game watcher. Yes. Well, Isaac has a Twitch channel, so I sometimes visit his Twitch over there. And you've seen that scene in Jedi Fallen Order where you see a young Cal Kestis just clutching to his master saber in that escape pod that's shaking, and he is just screaming. That was just, imagine what that was like to film. I was crazy. I was in tears. That was such a poignant moment. Oh, come on, that's a required material. X-Wing.
Yeah, I streamed the whole thing, and in that scene, I was just silent.
Yeah, that was so heartbreaking to me to see this little boy like that. It was. I read this. I read it in the script, and I was like, "No, you're not. You're really gonna? No, you're not. You're gonna show this? No, you're not." And Sticks we're showing it. I'm like, oh my God, the heart breaks. So, I think that, once you pull these kids out, I mean, from their point of view, they don't understand anything else other than, they're kind of being ripped away from their families, right? So Dan, for you, Ben spent, like I said before, 13 years from the time he was 10 until he was 23 years old. So when we see him in The Last Jedi, he's 23 years old, right? So that's 13 years. That's a long time. 13 years to be training as a Jedi. Ben also spent 7 years under Snoke's training as a Sith, because let's face it, I don't care what you say, Snoke was a fucking Sith. Don't come at me for that, but Snoke was a Sith. He was Emperor Palpatine. Duh. How does having all that training shape Ben's own view of his skills and his proficiency in those skills?
I mean, you can imagine the guy's gonna have a little bit of an ego, right? He's got to be kind of nice with it, surely. 13 under the go.
He's got a humble brag about it.
13 years under the go, the best to ever do it, Luke Skywalker, and then another 7 with the dark side. He's got to be a little confident.
Dark side goat. Yeah. Well, okay. No, I shouldn't say the goat for Palpatine, but one of the top.
Yeah, he's up there. He's up there. He's no ball, but it's fine.
But yeah,
I mean, he's got to be pretty confident, I would imagine.
And I mean, how is he going to check that ego?
by putting himself in a lot of dumb situations. I would bet. Without going into spoiler territories, I
agree.
Definitely testing his limits in our series here. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's going to learn very quickly exactly
I think,
what he's capable of.
I think one of the things that's very true, X-Wing Snoke should have been Plagueis. That would have been awesome. That would have been.
That's who I thought it was.
Oh, I was like, wow. But
that's what all the theory YouTube channels thought it was.
Oh God, the theories.
Plagueis returned.
The theories on Snoke, right, X-Wing?
So cool.
The theories on Snoke. Oh my God, that was just
insane. So cool.
But yeah, I mean, and frickin' Rian Johnson with his like, I'm gonna treat my movie like the end of the movies. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're killing me here. Killing me. But yeah, I think that one of the things that
a lot of people.
One of the things that in our lives, right? One of the things that really does check our egos is when you have a child. Because that's
humbling.
Yes, it's one of the most humbling experiences that you could ever have in your life is to have a child, because your ego can never be. What? Your face?
She's thinking about kids right now. She's disgusted.
I was just looking at. Sorry, I was looking at X-Wing's comment about them. They said your Snoke theory sucks. LOL. Like, no, wait, what? Sorry, you can keep going. I was just reacting to the chat.
I'm focused on her face. That's gonna be a clip. But yeah, yes. But yeah, no. I think that's one of the most humbling things that you can do to anybody that has a really high ego, man. Just give him some kids, and they'll check him right quick. Because you just can't have. That's true of humanity. Your ego gets right out the door when you.
And as an alcoholic now.
When you're responsible for a child, so. I think, and yes, that's 21. Not. Yes, yes. He can drink now. Oh, he's one of us.
Yes. Out of the dark side.
And then I'm gonna pick on Leia. Princess Leia went through the gamut of training under her brother, as we saw in episode 9, right? Mm-hmm. But this was outside of the normal training that would happen within the Jedi Order. Do you think that helped her or hurt her to only have like her brother training her?
Let's face it, Leia has been training her entire life. She was born as a princess, and she got sent to another royal house. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess like Luke is rad for sure, but let's like he helped her maybe learn about the Force and maybe some like mad saber skills. But her entire life has been a training ground with many parallels to the Jedi world. I mean, one of the fundamentals of Jedi is that you sacrifice yourself for the greater good of other people with that focus. Well, she's done that her entire life.
Yep.
And like Jedis are forced to make on-the-spot decisions, and you come to a fork in the road and you gotta know what to do. Leia has done that her entire life, even before she met Luke. And she's a Skywalker, so she was born this way.
Yes, born this way.
Yeah. I mean, Luke training her was icing on the cake. Sure, but she don't need no man.
She don't need no man. No, but it's true. I mean, she definitely had. I mean, she became like a junior senator at like age 15 or something. Like, come on, I don't know a single 15-year-old that can handle politics. Come on. Right?
Yeah, it was her life.
Yeah, for sure. And Tyler, what do you think Anakin should have been? Do you think that Anakin should have been taken in by the Order at all? And if yes, how would he have fared under Qui-Gon Jinn versus Obi-Wan Kenobi, and why?
So first off, yes, and because I mean, even like Jedi would make comments all over the place talking about how like, oh wow, he's super powerful and like all this stuff. He's led the best clone battalion on the war, won probably the most battles of anybody. It's like he's OP. Yeah, we needed him. Yeah. But under Qui-Gon, I feel like Qui-Gon would have been able to connect with him, not only because of that like father status he had with him from when they first met, but also because they behave similarly, like with their kind of thin line on the rules. They kind of bounced over the line every once in a while. Qui-Gon would have been able to connect with Anakin on so many more levels than Obi-Wan would have. He would have known how to talk to him, how to like personally train him, and just all this other, just so many other things. Yeah, I think things would have been a lot different with Qui-Gon.
Yeah, we could watch a whole movie of that, right? Maddie?
Mm-hmm.
Maddie's like, man, I could watch a whole movie of that. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Okay, we lost. We're losing folks. Give me a second. Let me re-get them back in here. All right. Let me see. Sorry. Oh no, we're back. We're back. Okay, awesome. Okay, you just refreshed. I think it's just if you refresh it, I don't have to put it back in there. All right, cool. Awesome. Welcome back, Miles. Can we hear you? Oh, there we go. Yes.
Back.
Okay, we can hear you. You're fine. Perfect. All right, Miles, I'm gonna just go right to you. We got to see Obi-Wan. We got to see Obi-Wan go from Padawan in The Phantom Menace to Master in Clone Wars. He was thrust into that role by his own master, Qui-Gon Jinn, when the Council wouldn't let Qui-Gon keep Obi-Wan and young Annie, to his charge. Like, basically, I don't know if you remember that scene, guys, right? In The Phantom Menace, was like, he was like, well, I'll take the boy. Obi-Wan's ready for the trials. Do you think that he was ready for any of that?
I think he thought he was. I think he definitely believed it, and Qui-Gon says, "I'm ready. I must be ready." The Council didn't think that Obi-Wan was ready. Otherwise, he would have been there doing the trials. I think had Anakin not appeared on the scene, Obi-Wan had a fair bit of learning to do before. He came in for the trials. And you see the amount of learning that Obi-Wan still has to do, even when he's training Anakin. Through the Clone Wars, through all of that. He's continuing to learn. And had he had those extra few, even years maybe with Qui-Gon, things could have been different, for him. I mean, Obi-Wan was still a great Jedi, and you can't really fault the man on many things. But I think he was hasty when he took it up, and then especially training Anakin because of Qui-Gon's death. I think that was a way to honor his old master. Was it the best decision?
Yeah,
maybe not. Maybe not.
And speaking of attachments, I think he did that because of the attachment that he had to Qui-Gon.
Oh, for sure,
100%.
But, it was his master's last wish to have Anakin trained, and he thought it's obviously my job to do so because I was Qui-Gon's master. This and the other. I was Qui-Gon's apprentice. Sorry, so I must train the boy. But not ready.
Yeah, and I don't think the Council really wanted that.
No,
for sure. For sure. Jason and Maddie. Life has been the teacher for these two. God, you guys just the besties. The besties. Life has been the teacher for these two, having never been an initiate or a Padawan or knight or any of it. How has not having that learning experience influenced your characters of today? Like in their today? Would they be better or worse for it?
I honestly think Finn would probably be a bit worse for it because without the formal training, he's kind of just forced to learn on the fly, and he's forced to just adapt without any prior experience with a teacher or a mentor. So I feel like he can still learn, but it won't be as refined as say someone like Ben.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And what about you, Maddie? What do you think? Not having a formal training.
I think of it like the whole thing when you look back at times and you're like, oh man, this event in my life really sucked. I wish it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. But then you'd be a totally different person than you were now.
Yeah.
I think of that when I think of, the hardships that Rey went through being a loner for such a long time. But then without it, I think she would have been a totally different person. and it's because she was a loner for such a long time, that community and like finding like real friends and people she could trust became such a big deal to her.
Yeah.
And keeping people together, you know, and not watching that kind of situation happen to other people, kind of bringing the misfits together. I think, I don't know, because she I know there's like all the debate about her like learning stuff really quickly, but at the end of it all, you're like, okay, she did pretty well for herself. I mean, by the end of the she did all this stuff, even though she didn't have the
formal training.
Yeah. And then there's always still time for that now. If we're to think of like after the events of the 9th movie, there could be time for more official things. And you see that. I mean, you do see that in the 9th film where she is training.
Yes.
So you have to allude to the fact that like, okay, there's a certain period of time where she did like at least get
some
better.
training from Leia.
Yeah.
From Leia.
Yeah.
So Leia was her master.
You're welcome.
Girl, yeah.
You don't need Leia either.
Yes, Rey, and that's very true, Kay. Rey's main hardships came before the movies. And to be honest with you, I think that's one error that's very, very big for me. I feel like we should have seen more of her growing up on this desolate planet, having to fight off all these charlatans and putting her through the paces of those hardships and being able to show that. I think that people would have connected to her better, because flat out, people don't like this character.
I was going to say that's where people come up with they were saying she's like a common Sue or whatever. Like she's very plain and whatnot. But you see this, if you were to like really study into her backstory, that's where you could be like, maybe they should have done more than just the one clip of her being like, Mom, Dad. Maybe we would have sided with her a little bit more. So, I mean, I don't know. It reminds me of again with like the Disney plight of like all the main characters never having their parents and whatnot.
Right.
But then you see them go through the trials and whatnot when they're like going through the duration of the movie stories.
Yeah.
So seeing that a little bit more with Rey, I think could also help.
I know X-Wing for sure is one of those Rey haters, but Maddie has kind of turned him around a little bit. But yeah, no, I think that one of my challenges for our project has been to kind of really show Rey go through it. And man, she's gonna go through it. And, you know, I feel like that's just an important part of character development. Like, how are you not gonna include that? You know? That's Disney. Yes, that's true, Miles. So, you know, I love the idea of Rey, but I just felt like the execution of Rey was poorly done, right? The idea of this girl that had this incredible lineage, let's put it that way, and not a good lineage, but she had this great lineage, and she was the daughter of this Strandcast, right? Like, I would have loved to have seen all of that. You know what I mean? Like, show me all of that. I want to see Dathan and Miramir, who are Rey's parents, by the way. If you guys do not know their names, Dathan Palpatine was her father, and Miramir, we don't know her last name, is her mother. And I'm like, dude, do we really need, like, you know, 3 books to tell? Like, we had to wait, like, I don't know how many, 3 movies and 3 books for us to know their names? Like, come on, wake up. Like, show me the plight of those 2 characters, you know, Dathan and Miramir. I think that would have connected people to her a lot more, you know. So
it'll come. It's coming.
Oh my gosh.
They were drunks that sold her for drinking money, don't you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely agree, Miles. Oh my God. Matt Smith as a young Palpatine would have been chef's kiss.
We were robbed.
Robbed. I'm telling you. Yeah, for sure. And X-Men says, I don't really hate Rey.
Who's braver than Rey? Answer me that. Who is right now? Who's alive? Who is braver than Rey?
Me. My stomach hurts right now, and I'm fighting through it. So.
No one is braver than Rey.
He's fighting for his life. He's fighting for his life.
Leia's coming in for the hard defense. X-Men hard defense.
I will protect my Rey. Yeah.
And he really he
Ben's
doesn't
pretty
hate
brave.
We
Rey.
gotta back up our female characters.
Yeah.
I totally get it, but
Ben's
see,
pretty brave.
but here's the thing.
Rey goes through some
I don't mind a strong female character, but what I do mind is when you write a strong female character with no context, right?
But Padme was similar. They didn't give Padme like the best dialogue. Like,
but
she was
Padme,
an amazing character.
George Lucas didn't give anyone good dialogue.
It's true. It's true. You're not wrong.
It's true. They did
not wrong.
Relationship
You're not
wrong.
between her and Anakin.
X-Men's gonna chastise all of you for saying anything bad about George Lucas. But yes, I personally feel like you have to have some context. You can't just throw a strong woman out there just to be a strong woman. Like that's not good storytelling. Period.
I mean, it's not good to see any, regardless of the gender. Like if you see someone like strong and developed, you want to know how that happened. You want to see it.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And we did, and we were told how that happened.
They
with
need to be
Rey,
an actual character.
but we didn't really see a lot of it.
I think maybe I connect a lot of that to like the moment when Han Solo is introduced, because I think there's very rare instances where you can be introduced to a character and you're just like, oh yeah, this is how this dude is. But maybe there's been other instances where they were like, we can do that again, and they don't realize like that was kind of magical. You can't just throw that in with just anybody, I guess.
Right.
I'm pretty in love with the new I still don't know her name. The evil Padawan from Ahsoka.
Shin Hati.
Yeah, her. I don't know why, but
it's that similar kind of vibe.
One of my favorite characters right now.
You're vibing.
Cool.
You're vibing.
She's cool.
She is bad. I love it.
I agree. Yeah.
She seems sadistic. Yeah, she's all
like
about
in a
this
cool
darkness
way.
stuff. Yeah, this is her vibe for sure.
She's like
Makes
in
me
Lord
miss,
of the Flies,
Ventress.
where you've got the follower who's even more dark and intense than the leader is.
Yeah, they just want it.
Okay, and then one last question before I move on to rebuilding the Jedi Order. Maddie, what is the one thing you would change in your new Jedi Order for the youngling experience?
Community. I just think like Rey, I almost was like, get the parents involved, bring them in to like watch their kids. This is me like being a teacher, being like, yeah, let the parents be comfortable with.
She's turning the Jedi Order into dance moms.
But yeah, that's what I was like, well, there's a balance.
Ben's gonna have to check her.
Yeah.
No,
if we think
honey,
about it,
no.
like at least not. What is it? If there's like the balance between the two, then it would be that of like not like taking them away like they're going to boarding school, or at least like having them have connections. I think is something that could really make a difference. And then I guess. Yeah, I think about the moments with Anakin where if he's on the council, but then, not have moments like that. Maybe go back to different moments where it's like, okay, if you're going to include somebody, like they need to be a part of the discussion as well. I don't know. Then this is me thinking about like politics and ethics where you're like, oh,
right.
God.
Like, how about we don't steal kids? Okay.
On either side, let's
start.
That should
Like
not be a controversial statement.
Yeah,
like
Ray's feeling bold today.
Somebody in rules of war, you don't like steal kids. Like
It should not be a controversial statement.
Yeah, you're right, Maddie. Maybe we shouldn't,
That should not be a
break
controversial
war law,
statement.
commit war crimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that might be good, Ben.
Involve children.
I think something we
Right.
should change for the
Thing we
youngling
can all agree
experience
upon.
for Rey
Do
would
not
be
involve
being a
children.
youngling. How about that? That's a good
Yes.
for the youngling experience. Yes.
Yes.
And maybe don't kill those.
Funny.
Huh, Tyler?
See Rey amongst all the
What?
Padawans.
Absolutely.
Maybe don't kill the younglings, right?
Yeah, Anakin.
Whoa. The experience.
I'm leaving.
Bringing these kids in, their excuses. It builds character. It builds character. or
Hide
whatever.
Joe kids, Alex
Hide your
says.
kids.
How'd your kids? How'd you what? Oh shit.
Hide your kids.
Well, I think
Hide your kids because he couldn't save his wife. Oh shit.
I think Rey's gonna be thrust into that because she's gonna have little Padawans of her own.
Thrusting something.
And some of them might even look like her. I mean,
Oh my god.
My obsession with Ben Solo. I mean, that has to come through.
All things are possible through the Force.
No way! Did that actually happen? X-Wing? No way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
Like saying that?
Like saying, leave the kids alone? Got a Twitch?
Saying, leave the kids alone. Nick Merckx got him banned and shut down.
What?
Yeah. Got him...
There's a little bit more context behind that.
Yeah, I know.
We're being a little disingenuous right now.
Yeah,
but
I didn't want to go into the full story.
There's more there. He didn't just say leave the kids alone unprompted. There's something there, but we can. It's not really
That's
a
for
topic
another
for the
stream.
show, I don't think.
Another story for another time.
Yes. Isaac, did you hear about that? He's like, I'm in my Clone Wars life. Leave me alone.
He's got to pull up on his phone right now.
That's right. I got. What was this about? All right, guys, let's move on. Here's the next talk. Type in your. The greatest teacher failure is. We have learned from the mistakes that were made by the Jedi Order of old, but as we all know, people inevitably make the same mistakes. But that fear cannot keep us from trying to be better. Now we have counselors and advisors to help us from within the cosmic force. So, what are the first steps we take to just start?
That's crazy.
All right. Holy
he killed that.
Killed it!
Yes.
Killed it!
That's
Yes!
insane.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Perfect.
Yep. That's all Alex is here for. Is for Isaac.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Do or do not. There is a try.
As a great man once said.
Do or do not.
Yoda in his college years.
Greatest
What's
quotes
going
of
on?
all time.
Try.
Oh, that's a good one, Miles. Anakin entering the cosmic force, only to be greeted by 1,000 younglings giving him the evils.
Yes.
Anakin getting jumped.
How did he get in here? How did that happen?
I wonder if Anakin coined the line he used in the most recent Ahsoka episode, but from when he crossed over.
You're there
All
too
the young-
soon. Yeah.
Hey, you're here sooner than expected.
But it's like the chorus of little kids saying that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
He wouldn't be able to stop him either. I mean, Reva as youngling tanked a lightsaber to the chest. So
Yeah, for sure.
Apparently they're invincible.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I have for this one is for everybody on this panel. What do you guys think should be the first steps to trying to rebuild the Jedi Order in a post-Tross world?
Kidnap more kids. We don't have enough. We gotta get
not.
I wouldn't say kidnap them. Mine would be a little different.
Borrow the kids without permission.
Maybe even take
Your
a
method,
lightsaber
your
to them.
method would be different. It's still the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
It's all about the verbiage for the PR team.
It's still the same result.
Jedi.
Any of these sentences taken out of context. You know.
Any one of these, yes. What do you,
I guess my
anyone? Does anyone have
Literally,
any
I'm
idea?
over here just like, don't.
Just don't start the Jedi Order.
Well, for starters.
Yeah, something new, maybe.
No rules.
What do you think they need a new base. They got to get money and they need a new base. No? They need a home base.
Yeah.
Need a new
Yeah,
home.
Where's that going to
Luke
be?
started, didn't he? Luke
should be
started. He
Unity, I
built,
guess.
he built a new temple, didn't he?
Mhm.
On,
Yeah,
you
Dan.
see it I forget whether it's the
Osus.
Mando episode or the Book of Boba episode where
Osus.
they go to see Luke.
Yep.
The old Jedi temple. Yeah, you're right.
So a home base is kind of the first step. Yeah? What
Yeah.
else, guys?
Money, credits.
Dan, you know that
This
previous
Jedi
temple
school
that
is
Luke
for
built?
profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan, Luke's temple wasn't even fully paid off yet.
I mean, you know, it wasn't even, the mortgage.
Maybe he
is-
should have
yeah, the
financed
mortgage
it,
on there.
huh?
It's an escrow.
It's an escrow.
And what he was just
in
trying to escape
foreclosure.
the space IRS. That's why I went to that
Unity.
island.
We need unity.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I think on a more serious note, I really do feel like having that home base is a big part of it. but also I think it's really trying to figure out what you teach these new, what do you teach them? Where do you start? And I think that's where the Force ghosts are going to come in, I think. And they're going to be like, okay, well, this is where I think and I could just see some exchanges between the Force ghosts, right? Oh. No, if you go down, right? If you do that, it's just going to wind us right back in the same place. And then you have Obi-Wan go, no, it must be by the book. And Anakin's like, no, the book sucks. Right?
The book's why you're here and why you're blue. The book is wrong. The book is why you're dead.
Yeah. So, Tyler, what are Anakin's first thought on how to rebuild?
Immediately and without hesitation, attachments are welcome.
Yes, I think that's going to be something that, like I said before, bro, we saw all the Padawans. We saw Caleb Dune. We saw Cal Kestis. We saw Ahsoka. They all develop attachments. And so you can't just forbid them from developing these attachments. You have to foster them, and then you have to train them to overcome the hurdles that come along with them. So I think, oh yeah, the current topic needs to change. Thank you so much. Maddie's on top of it. So I think that's something that needs to be immediately addressed. I would agree Anakin would be the first. That's his first thing. He's like, okay, first on the docket. First things first. Miles.
Let him have friends.
Let him have friends. Let him have lovers.
Jedi need love too.
That's true. That's the thing that I think, personally, if you organize the Jedis to be like these monks that take a oath of celibacy and this and that, then how are they going to relate to people? They're not.
Isn't that so strange?
Yeah.
Isn't it so strange that they're the defender of the people, but they're not allowed to be people?
But aren't the Jedis one of the most attached groups? The Jedis have their Padawans. They have attachments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
they
strange.
have family. They have love. All the Jedis are attached.
It's it was so in front of them, and they didn't understand that, right? How could you? I don't understand.
Ayla Secura and Commander Bly.
Ooh. The little love story of a clone trooper and his Jedi. His Jedi commander.
There was that one, I think it's Legends, a clone commando ended up having a baby with a Jedi because they disobeyed Order 66 and fell in love.
Aw, that's nice.
Yeah. And then the Jedi died. Isaac in with the real truth.
Did Dave Filoni write that one?
Yes. Yes. How much sand is in this film? A lot. There's Tatooine. I mean, you're looking at the background of this broadcast is basically Tatooine, right?
It's a good home base.
I don't like it.
Safe
I don't like it at all.
You don't like the sand? Too much sand.
I don't. No, it's too much. Speaking of which, Ray, go get my lightsaber out of the sand right now.
Yeah, right?
I'll keep it all nice and dusty for you.
No, that's the first thing. That's the first thing Ben does. He's like, "What? You put my grandfather's saber in sand? What is wrong with you?"
You're gonna make him Vader again.
Find it again. Yeah.
And Ray's gonna be like, "I didn't know." But yeah.
That's the whole reason he turned to the dark side was sand. Everyone knows the story.
Everyone, right? So Miles, what do you think Obi-Wan would? Do you think that he would still champion the old ways? If Anakin said, "Listen, first on the docket, we gotta abolish this whole attachments bullshit," right? What do you think Obi-Wan would say?
I mean, I feel like even when he was an old man after the Jedi fell. Oh, sorry. Continue, Miles.
No. I mean, no, don't worry. I mean, I think you know, Obi-Wan had, you know, Satine. You know, he's no stranger to attachments. I don't think he. I think he didn't pursue that attachment because of the old ways. I think if those old ways were abolished, I think he'd think, well, that's fair game. You know, I can. You know, I love Satine. I'll go to her. So I don't think he would champion attachments as much as they once were. But I think a lot of the Jedi teachings. I mean, Obi-Wan was like the Jedi. He was a Jedi. Like, when you think Jedi, he was the epitome of what a good Jedi was. You know,
the poster child for the Jedi.
Yeah, you know. So I think he would still follow a lot of the old teachings in terms of how to act and things like that. But I think he'd be flexible. There's certain things I think Anakin would be able to convince him on.
I think this would be one. I think this is going to be one. I think, could you imagine the conversations? You know, like Anakin being like, yo, Obi, why the hell didn't you tell me you had the hots for Duchess Satine? Like, I could have just told you, like, oh, I got married in secret. I mean, we could have just been bros out there just hoeing it up. Like, you know?
Hey, I'll take care of this, Obi-Wan. You go find your girlfriend. Anakin, she's not.
Just pulling it up, Maria says.
Oh my God.
Just
that was the
pulling
scene
it
in the
up.
Clone Wars, by the way, that I just.
Anakin, we're not putting a label on it. Stop it.
I think one thing we're not taking into account that they have now seen what happens when you deny a Jedi his attachments. That's why they're all glowing blue right now.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Absolutely.
I think all their answers are going to change.
Sure.
And what do you think, Isaac? What do you think Yoda will have to say about forming this new order? Yes? Yeah. Properly. Yeah. Yes. More than the 3 lessons. I'm going to show you 3 lessons, and then we never got to see the 3rd one. What is wrong with what is with that?
I'm going to show you how to spearfish, drink milk from a titty, and that's it. You're now a Jedi. Congratulations.
You're now
Don't
a Jedi.
kill kids. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh
It
my
has
gosh.
to be green milk, or it leads to the dark side.
Alex is gonna fall to the dark side in a minute. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think Yoda would absolutely be for forward progress, right? He would want the Jedi Order back, but he would definitely want to try to do better. I mean, he was always the try to do better guy, right? Like, we need to do better. Dan, what do you think Ben's place will be in this task?
Ben is in a difficult position because starting the new order, right? I mean, he's obviously going to be looked towards as like a mentor of sorts, but at the same time, he's going to be, assuming the new kids who come in know of his past, which is likely. He's definitely going to be a little bit feared as well, and I can see Ben struggling as like he wants to be like the principal at school that like kids like, but he walks into the room and everybody goes quiet or something and think they're in trouble or whatever. And I feel like that would be a big struggle that Ben would have.
Yeah.
In regards to his position in an area like that, I mean, got me working with the troubled kids, right? Like he's been around the block.
We're gonna put him with the short bus special.
Yeah, basically, you know.
There's gonna be that one student. There's always that one student that's gonna be like,
I'm
"What
so
was it
canceled,
like?"
X-Wing. I'm so canceled.
Yeah. No, I mean the kids who grew up like him, right? The kids who are a little bit edgy. Maybe they got some problems with their family or something. It's kind of like a home away from home kind of deal, a place to feel safe. And Ben can relate to that, and I can see him working with those kind of kids and trying to hone them into something more productive than maybe what they've grown up to think is right.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense in my brain.
Yeah.
As for like his place in that position.
Yeah.
Master Ben, what was it like blowing up 5 planets?
He was so sick. I mean, Like, you've never seen fireworks like that. Promise you. Like,
oh boy, Ben needs
The
a
Souls of
few
the Damned
visits
make
from
a light
Anakin,
show.
the Force Ghost. 100%. That was my biggest gripe with the sequel trilogy in all three films, was just not having that opportunity to bring in Hayden Christensen to be like the Force Ghost and talking to his grandson. I mean, like, what the F? I just like, so that's getting corrected. I assure you that is getting corrected. So yeah, I think that Anakin would be very much like, I think he's going to favor his grandson quite a bit, just because he probably sees a lot of himself in him, you know? And I think he's really going to, kind of like take him under his wing and be like, I'm going to help you through this incredible task that you have, where people kind of see you as, just death and destruction, if you will. And now we have to make them see you in a different way. And I think that because Ben is the last Skywalker, fuck you, Disney, okay? Ben is the last Skywalker, okay? I get so mad about that one. Sorry, Ray.
But, I agree. Oh my gosh. I kind of wish you'd been sitting with me when I watched it in theaters.
You were like, what? What? That doesn't make any sense.
Is it right? Yeah.
We probably were like that in the theater together, just in different states. Yeah, Ben is the last Skywalker. He's the one that's gonna continue that Skywalker line, and I think for Anakin, it's gonna be like a really great thing to be a part of that and to help him and guide him. So, yeah. So, okay, and then I think I have, Maddie. Rey's gonna be front and center in this task.
Yeah.
She's like,
yeah. I guess I figured it would be similar to like my last answer, just about making sure unity is a whole thing, open communication. Think of it like a healthy relationship between one person and another when they're dating. Like, we want to have that, but for the whole Jedi Order, make sure everybody's communicating. I don't know. I think it's a lot of like sins of the father, like not repeating history type stuff that everybody else has said.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Rey brings a certain like balance. I mean, not only is she part of this very unique Force phenomena between her and Ben, that for all intents and purposes, nobody's ever really seen, because we didn't call it a Force dyad, but it's not a Disney thing. I've said this before. Bastila Shan and Darth Revan were a Force dyad. We just didn't call them that, right? Everything that you saw Ben and Rey do in the films, it could be directly linked back to Bastila Shan and Darth Revan. Some of the Force powers that they have, all of it. So, I think that that's going to be a unique thing for them. I'm one of the things that I'm really keen on in writing them together in that Force dyad is expanding the Force dyad powers and like what they can do, and then also in their combat fluidity and how they utilize each other to fight against someone else. Because we've seen them fight each other, right? But can you imagine what that's going to be like when you take the two of them and they're fighting a same target? I think that's going to be like badass.
That Snoke fight was one of my favorite things I think I've seen in the this trilogy. I was like, I want to see them fight together.
Yes, I mean, they were just so in sync and so automatically like just connected in that way. It was great. I loved it. That was fun.
I guess like treating each other kind of equally. I know that there was kind of a hierarchy before with how the Jedi viewed themselves themselves above other people. Versus, I know like there were variants of that, because obviously it was, the whole purpose was, protecting other people. But I think in that there was some instances where people got a little high and mighty.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So maybe some humbling there. Yeah.
Kay says, I think if they hadn't made her part of the dyad, Rey could have been a true great Jedi. Hot topic of debate, but the dyad needs to be enhanced for sure. I think the dyad, first and foremost, needs to be fucking explained. Like, I mean, can we get real about this shit? I'm just gonna be
I just
like,
thought they
honest.
just were adding new force powers, and
You
I was
know.
like, what? Did everybody do that the whole time?
Like, can we just define what they are and what they can and can't do? And I just want to be able to do that. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about with our TV series, because once we stop episode 10, right, and we go right into the TV series, we get the chance of really building all of the little things in between. You know, in that there's a 10-year gap between these two movies. There's a lot that goes on in those 10 years, including 3 children. So, like, you know, you guys get busy, you know.
A lot of kids. It's a lot of younglings.
That's like 3. Woo!
I take it I'm not allowed to
Sweating
visit.
under the collar.
or
No, you're
babysit.
not.
Can I babysit?
You stay home, old man.
Yeah, for sure. But I just
want to show him some lightsaber moves.
right, like I just
bet.
want it explained. Like, just explain it. Don't just like make it some foreign concept or whatever. So I'm so excited to be able to do that, and also just being able to see how they are with each other when they're like not just like this thrown together throne room thing that we had, which was great. It was great. I friggin' love that moment where they like looked at each other. She grabs the lightsaber and she turns around, she looks at him, and they're looking at each other, and you see him flick his lightsaber, and then they just turn around and they're back to back. That was great. That was really like cinematography, in my opinion, was great. The choreography sucked. The choreography sucked, but the cinematography of it and like the storytelling of it was really good. I just want to be able to see more of that. I want to see like prequel style combat with these two.
Why is it
like,
so hard? Like, I don't get it.
'Cause
Why it's just like
they-
non-existent.
Bro, they don't hire Nick Gillard. Like, just give me. The man is a phone call away, bro. Like, just pick up the phone. He'd be like, yeah, pay me,
You know what
bitches.
else they did? I can't get over this. They're using like the Star Wars like FX like Hasbro toys
Oh, God.
on set now. Like
Oh, my
they used to use like in the prequels they had the hilt and then they had like a light like dowel kind of stick thing, easy to swing around very quickly. They're
Yeah.
using the heavy bulky toy that you can buy at Walmart.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're just editing over it, and it's so heavy and unwieldy, and it makes everyone so slow. They're doing it in Ahsoka too. It's like, I mean, Hayden Christensen did pretty well despite that, but
Yeah.
You hit a
it's-
finger with those. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able, like, I just remember how badass Bastilla Shan and Darth Revan, when they were together, they're just like, anybody that's read any of the stories or seen some of the cinematics, it was explosive. I just want that. I want that for Ben and Rey. You know, it should be special like that. For sure. The Force dyad should be a force to be reckoned with. Absolutely. It should be like, you know, ground zero. Ground zero. So yeah, I know I'm so getting canceled. I'm so getting canceled, guys. All right, let's
We're with you.
Totally. So let's move on. We're gonna move on to questions and answers. So guys in the chat, type in your questions in the chat and we'll try to answer them. Some questions may be behind NDAs, so not all questions can be answered, or we may just simply run out of time today. If so, drop your questions in the comments. I know. We've had some glitches.
Dan, stop pumping your own tires.
That's
Okay?
a really good question. Thank you,
That's
Dan.
called
Likely, I
mega
can take this one if you need me to.
Your mic is cold.
You skipped mine.
I can handle this
Look
one.
at that
I think you skipped my
All right,
question.
everybody, please answer the question in the chat. Not all at once?
Wait, that one?
Yes.
It's a good one. It's a good question. I mean, it's a good
Dan is
solid-
You know,
asking
the
his
answer's
own
kind
question,
of escaping me
which
right
is
now,
great.
so no.
Oh, yeah, it's too bad. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye.
No, I think Danny's really cool because we both bonded really well when we were doing our script reading together initially, and I thought that we had great chemistry, and I was like, that guy would be good as my partner, and and here we are.
Wow, tell us the step by step, my love.
There was the auditioning with the different bands, and I just remember it was supposed to be this, it was, I mean, I can't say too much, but it was supposed to be a more intimate scene between the two. And so, of course, I think knowing where things were probably going to go in the movie, I was like, I definitely want to read with somebody who I like naturally kind of feel comfortable with and who chemistry wise feel like we get along.
Yeah.
And I remember
I just have incredible riz. So.
I mean, your game is on point, Dan.
You're like, there is no acting. I'm just playing myself.
Oh, yeah,
exactly. Absolutely.
It's method for sure.
It's method. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, we like read together, and I remember after the first day, I was like, oh, that was really nice.
She felt it. She felt it. Ooh.
And then afterwards when we were talking
because
about
we messaged. I remember we messaged behind the scenes, Maddie, and you were like, I really like Dan.
But then afterwards we were talking about like, okay, so who are we interested in? Yes. I remember I was like, I gotta input this just so they know.
Just say no. Exactly. Make sure Dan has all 5 stars down the line.
Yeah, you were all right, Maddie. Anyway.
That's why.
I'm kidding. I love you. You're great.
That's why I think Dan is cool.
Yes, well, that's a
Thank you
great
for coming
answer.
to my TED Talk.
That is a great answer. All right, KG, am I really the only one that enjoyed the bluntness and heaviness of the sequel trilogy saber fights? No, you are not.
Oh.
I loved the Force Awakens fight between Kylo and Rey. Loved it. That was fantastic. Running around the forest, chopping trees, all of that. That was great. The moment where he's like pushing her almost off the cliff and he's just looking at her and he's just like enthralled. Like you could tell that man fell in love in that minute. Like it was just like, he's like, oh my God, I love you so much. Please be with me. You need a teacher. Right? I love that moment so much.
He went for the tutor play.
I know,
That's crazy.
I know. And his,
Maybe we could study after school. Or...
Yeah. Exactly. And then in the Last Jedi, I was okay with the throne room fight. I think for me, what did that fight justice was just the fact that the you could see the characters kind of coming together in that fight, right? Like you really could see that. And of course, everything that happened after that fight for me was chef's kiss, right? And yes, the last fight on Kef Bir between Kylo and Rey was probably one of my favorite fights in Star Wars. I love that fight. That is one of my favorite fights. So no, you're not alone. Anyone else jump in?
I think in regards to the heaviness, I really liked Kylo's saber being heavy. It's got a crossguard. It's like a Zweihander. It's got it's like a big great sword. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's heavy, and it feels like that in the Jedi Survivor games. It feels heavy. You know, when you've got you in that stance.
Yeah.
I didn't like Rey's lightsaber feeling heavy, because we'd seen how quick that lightsaber can move. It was Anakin's lightsaber. We've seen him spin it, twirl it, do this, that, and the other. Yes, she's not trained, but it shouldn't be heavy in her hand.
Yeah. Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. It's my understanding that the way, lightsaber blades are virtually weightless, right? That's the idea.
It's literally light.
Yep.
Yeah, superheated plasma, I think, is what's going on. It's like superheated plasma, like condensed within like a one-way force field or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But virtually, it's weightless. Like you're not going to notice a weight there. The reason why like specifically Jedi use it though, and you see an example of that with Din Djarin in The Mandalorian, he's trying to use the Darksaber, is it's largely,
they have a connection
it has to do with your connection to the Force, and it's your connection to that Kyber crystal. Exactly. And like having your and being emotionally capable of using that weapon. So when Din Djarin goes to use it, he doesn't have the connection, and thus it feels extremely heavy. He struggles to lift it, he struggles to wield it, even though it should be weightless.
Yeah.
So that's why I like that touch with Ben of how his lightsaber feels so heavy, not just because like the hilt is big, right?
Yeah.
But because he has that turmoil within him, and it causes him to be like every strike has so much weight behind it. And I feel like Rey should not have felt that way, but I guess you can chalk that up to like lack of experience. I don't know.
And I think here's the thing. So the other thing that was kind of iffy for me was also just because we come to find out that Ben, like Emperor Palpatine, is one of the few people to ever really actually master all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. He is a beast. I feel like, I feel like the fight in TFA was evened out a little bit because Ben was injured with the bowcaster by Chewbacca and all that kind of stuff, right? But in Kef Bir, I feel like he should have just automatically dominated. But I really do feel like he was playing with her. He was like playing with his food. You know what I mean? He was just like tiring her out. Like if you remember when they first engage in the actual former throne room on Kef Bir, like he's just he doesn't even light his lightsaber for like 7 of her swings. He's just dodging, right? And because he's just like, I'm gonna tire you out because I'm gonna get you. Right? I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I like the prequel trilogy saber fights, but they almost are overly flashy. People seem to only think the saber fights are worthy if they're like the PT.
Hey, the best saber fight in the entire saga is in Twin Suns, like Obi-Wan and Maul in Rebels. That's the best fight in my opinion. That's not flashy at all. There's so much emotion behind that.
Yeah.
The problem is when I feel like you have neither the flash nor the emotional weight, or like you don't feel the context behind it. You got to have at least one of those things.
Yeah.
And and I felt like the sequel trilogy lacked it in many instances.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That's just kind of where it was.
I agree with that, but I'll tell you why people gravitate to the lightsaber fights in the prequel trilogy. Number one is because Nick Gillard understood the assignment. I'm just gonna say that. Nick Gillard understood the assignment. The assignment was to portray Jedi as almost superhuman. And that, 2 thumbs up, okay? 2 very much enthusiastic thumbs up on that, because that's exactly how they looked. They were supposed to look superhuman. And I think that's why when we see like Jedi today, and we see some of these flights and we're like, why is that so slow? You know,
they just look like normal people with swords.
You know,
like
and it's not
that's what it feels like.
Right, they're not supposed to be like that. Like you said, okay, their only heaviness is in their hilt. You know, they're basically weightless otherwise, right? So the heaviness that they put into it is what they put into through the Force, and what the energy of that kyber crystal is resonating off of their own Force, their inside living Force, right? They're midichlorians that are inside you. And so that's what makes that weapon somewhat heavy, but it's not the same as sword fighting. It's not supposed to be the same as sword fighting. So for me personally, that's why the prequel trilogy rocks in every aspect of a sword fight. The quickness, the acrobatics. I mean, bro, Duel of the Fates for me is like top. I mean, I understand Battle of the Heroes. Everybody loves the Anakin versus Obi-Wan fight, but for me, the Obi-Wan and versus Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul is at the top of the heap. That fight, it was
they were
amazing.
just flying.
Yeah,
flying.
They were just straight up flying at certain points.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
like that's
Maul
superhuman
was so
Jedi
good.
there.
Yes, and that's why everybody loves those fights, because the Jedi is supposed to be like that way, right? Let's see if
we're all forgetting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Obi-Wan versus Grievous. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, uncivilized.
Yeah, I mean, it did end with a blaster, but still.
Yeah.
Superhuman
sure.
name.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, well, you know, Grievous is 90% machine at that point, so it's
He's
like
more
fun.
machine than man.
Yeah, well, yes. But yes, definitely. So it's not the first time Obi-Wan's seen that. Right? Yeah. And Rey was okay, let's see, it's here. And Rey was struggling with her shadow self the whole time and didn't have the training, so it would be okay. That makes sense. And Rey was struggling with her shadow self the whole time and didn't have training, so it would make sense that it would be a heavy thing for her. Okay, got it. That makes sense. And I feel like again, I feel like that's also a miss thing. Like, you know, but yeah, to say that Kylo wasn't trying to kill her is an understatement, right? Like Kylo didn't want to kill Rey. You know, that was not his intent in that fight. He wanted her to join him. Okay, any other questions? I know we missed a couple of things, but we are coming up to time, so we missed a couple of questions. But let me see if there's any other questions. All right. So some last minutes. I'm going to go through the panel. They're going to tell you guys their socials and what they're up to and what they're doing. And then one last thing is we do have a video coming out about the Force. It's called The Secrets of the Force. And I dive into explaining, okay, one, the cosmic force, the living force, the difference between those two planes. And then also really trying to lock down the Force dyad and explaining the Force dyad in detail based on information that I know from my sources from working on the properties that I've worked on. Okay, so let's start with Dan. Dan's good way. I'll go to Maddie. Maddie, where can we find you? What are you up to? Anything that you've got coming out soon or anything like that?
Oh yeah. I've mostly just been into the artist thing of like working, not working on different things, always auditioning, trying to do audio work. Nothing huge upcoming, though I had an audiobook release that I've been excited about. So you can check me out on Audible if you want to listen in.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, just kind of a lot of different things, I guess. And then you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. And I think right down below, I have my website as well.
Awesome. And then Dan.
What's the book, Maddie?
What's the book name?
Oh, sorry. Oh, it's called.
Sorry, what's the book?
It's called Ellis River, and it's a historical fiction. And I really enjoyed reading it. And yeah, if you like horses, if you like,
who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Right.
That's right.
If you like, the premise is a girl who's pretty much lost her entire family in the middle of the Civil War is searching for her brothers and her dad who are fighting in the Civil War. So she pretends to be a guy and she's like traveling through a lot of Tennessee and Kentucky.
That's super cool.
An American Joan of Arc.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah, feel free to check it out if you want.
Yes, awesome. Fantastic.
Cool.
Dan, what about you? Where can we find you?
I'm not doing nothing.
He hates this question. He really does.
I work so much.
You do work
at Verizon.
Yeah.
So much. I dream about Verizon, Maria.
Verizon. I thought you were just saying you worked a lot.
I dream about Verizon every night. I can't, even in sleep, I can't escape. But one day I'm going to be super ultra mega famous and you're going to see me everywhere.
That's right.
So be ready for that.
For now, we can catch you on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, if you want to see my shenanigans, you can see it on
You
there.
do have a lot of shenanigans, Dan, and I watch
I'm a bit
every
of a
one of them.
shenaniganizer.
Yes, you are. I love it. It's funny.
A tad bit.
You are just hysterical. And of course, you do stream, don't you?
Yeah, I stream every once in a while. I used to do it a lot more. I've
Yeah,
kind of fallen
well,
off, but
now-
I'm trying to get back into it.
Now you're working so much, it's been hard for you to get back into it. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Those dreams aren't going to pay for themselves.
It's true. They're high production value. So.
Yes, exactly. And Tyler, where can we find you? What have you been doing lately? Anything coming out soon?
Nothing big. Personal voiceover projects, small commission jobs here and there. I just recently did some lines for a short story about a clone who goes crazy and murders and all this other stuff. But it's pretty interesting. I never thought of something like that. But so yeah, I've got a link tree that has all my like stuff in it, but my main ones are like YouTube, and I stream on TikTok and all that stuff.
Didn't a bunch of clones do that during Order 66?
Shut up, Dan. We don't talk about it. It never happened. They were all on vacation.
I think you're getting hit up in the chat, Dan. Everybody wants wants a little piece.
Oh, you want a discount? I bet. Yeah, come on down and get a new line.
Yeah, Dan will be happy
if you
to
go
service
to AT&T,
you.
I'll know.
Yeah, Dan will be happy to service you. That's
What?
terrible. That's terrible.
Wait, what? What does that mean? I don't get it.
I'd like to say I personally did not agree to this. To be clear.
Oh, I'm so getting canceled.
Sitting there like,
maybe the Riz Master, but we'll see how that goes.
I would say. All right. And Jason, where can we find you? And what have you been up to? You got anything coming out soon? Oh my God! Why can't
honestly,
we hear?
I'm in the same boat as Tyler. You can't hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So, honestly, I'm not really doing much of anything but auditioning for stuff and like posting personal projects and just screeching on Twitter, I guess. So you can just find me on there, on YouTube. I upload on YouTube sometimes. I'm on TikTok a lot nowadays, and Instagram too. But yeah.
All right. And Leah, what have you been up to? Are you got anything coming out soon, or you just? I know Leah loves to work with me on all my stuff. She is the voice of our upcoming Legacy trailers, Mama. So she gets to play a Mama again.
I like to do a lot of voices. I do. I do. No, I'm doing a little bit of commercial work, and I'm just so focused on this project, Maria, and anything you could ever possibly need. I just love that. And a quick shout out to my nephews and my niece, to Liam, Bodie, and Emma. Liam is my resident Star Wars expert. If I have any question about everything, he is 14 and he gives me all the advice I could ever need on Star Wars. So I look like a champ. So thanks.
That's amazing.
Thanks
I
to
love
those
that.
kids.
Yes.
That's so sweet. Yeah, Liam, come on down to Verizon, man. I got you.
Yes.
They're watching right now.
Awesome.
In a new line?
So is Liam a youngling?
He is a teenager thing, a teeny thing.
Ben's gonna smack you.
Boundaries, man.
Close enough.
Keep him away.
Keep him away. All right. And then Miles, what about you? What have you got going on? Where can we find you? And and what have you got? What do you got coming out, if anything, soon?
What have I got coming out? In the realm of voice, you guys, if anybody else would like to hire me, I am available for hire on voice. Please somebody hire me. Live action wise, I'm going to be on stage this month. I'm in some Shakespeare, so that's going to be good. I'm doing King Lear, which would be really good.
That's amazing.
And I've just come back from working with Warner Brothers HBO on some cool stuff down in London, which has been really exciting. Can't talk about it. I am under NDA. Sorry.
Super cool, Miles. Yeah. Keep your secrets.
My Twitter's
take them with you to the grave.
It's barren. There's nothing on there apart from like a few pictures of me and a link to my Fiverr page where I used to do voice work stuff. So DM me if you're interested in everything, I guess.
Awesome.
Or just want to chat.
All right. And then Isaac.
We all need the work.
We all need the work. And Isaac, what have you been up to? What do you got going on? And where can we find you? Oh, I don't think we have your TikTok. Do we have his TikTok? Let's see. Can someone do the... the Isaac ones. I think we might have your TikTok links up as well. So, yeah. Yep, Nightbot's got it. Yes, we love our Yoda. And by the way, Yoda is not the only character that Isaac plays for us. He also plays a dangerous bounty hunter, which we get to like flesh out a little more in the TV series. And he also plays a Mune, because we are going to be going to Munilist, which I love that. So, yeah. And then, of course, so we do have our teaser trailer. Let's throw that into the chat. We do have our teaser trailer that kind of just gives you a little tease about our upcoming film. And next up is we're going to be doing our legacy trailer, which is actually a specialty trailer that will, tell you kind of like the history and the background of our main villain, or the one half of our main villain, Emperor Vitiate. So look for that coming in like the middle of November. So we're all working on it right now, which Leia was a part of. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and thanks to my panel. Thank you guys all. I love hanging out with all of you. It is the highlight of my month. So
thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, yes, Maria. It's been fantastic.
You're the best, Maria, our shining star.
Best. Thank you. Take care, guys.
I've always said it. I've always said it, Maria. The best ever do it. They tell me every single day.
They always tell me
my beautiful wall is beautiful, but
every single time.
Quite diplomatic indeed. Yes.
All right, guys,
Wonderful.
and I'll leave you
Absolutely
with the
wonderful.
end credits and Emperor Vitiate's theme. you.